Welcome into Georgia High School Sports Day, powered by IBU.com, Local 613. From the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager, and we have a great show ahead today. We're going to have the opportunity to hear from Langston Hughes head coach Andrico Hines and Northgate head coach Kevin Wigler. Our game of the week is going to be Langston Hughes versus Northgate this upcoming Friday night at 8 p.m. But you can tune in right here starting at 7:30 for our pregame show. We're going to have coverage all night, not only that game, but of some other good matchups that we'll take a look at after that game. Craig, I want to talk about this matchup. Both of these teams are going into this game undefeated. Two really good programs. We talked about Northgate. When you look at their schedule, they haven't been as battle-tested as Langston Hughes have been. Langston Hughes has seen some tough opponents, but I want to ask, with this Langston Hughes team, what makes this program so dominant?
Well, with Langston Hughes, when I think about kind of the position they're in right now, they're still kind of in the close vicinity of what's been a dynasty for them. They broke to the scene with Prentice Air Nolan making the finals when he was a sophomore. He came back, they make it further, they make it further. So they've been on this upward trajectory. Well, Coach Williams leaves, Andrico Hines takes over the head coaching role, and they haven't really taken a step back, and 5A is looking like it's up for the grabs this year. So I feel like Langston Hughes is in the midst of this dominant run. Even last year, they went up against Milton in the state championships. This was a senior-led Milton team, one of the best teams to come through the state of Georgia. They were the only team that was even competitive with them. They were tied at the half. So I think in terms of Langston Hughes, they've been one of the most successful programs in the state for about the last 5 or 6 years. And what makes them so successful on the field, I think it's just the combination of speed at the skill positions, but then physicality. They are so big up front. They have had a ton of prospects and just a really good blend of talent. And then having guys like Darnell Kelly come in, it just shows that even with a first-year head coach, even with some turnover in that department, it's still a very attractive place to play, and they have some huge recruits.
We have our Georgia High School Hall of Fame event coming up October 25th. That will be next Saturday at the College Football Hall of Fame. And you can get more information for this event on the Score ATL website or the Hall of Fame website, where you can get your tickets today. But Craig, I just want to ask, yesterday you took some time to write an article on this year's inductee class. What stands out to you about this group?
To me, well, first of all, yesterday's show was amazing. Catching up with Keith Brooking, that was a great conversation. He's getting in this year. He's one of 7 former Georgia Tech players that are getting in. And also, when you look at this class, there's 32 members that were voted in, and then 1 automatic induction. That was Sterling Sharp. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame now, and so he's the 10th player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that played high school football in Georgia, so he gets that automatic bid. So we have a 33-member class, but out of those 33, 17 of them are guys that were on the 100-player ballot for the first time ever. There were only 5 that have been on the ballot every year since 2022 that finally got in. But I think it's just the new faces, and some of those were guys that some of the board felt that we maybe missed out on the first couple of years, but then others were guys like Cam Newton, who now is eligible because it's been 4 years since his last NFL season. And then a guy like Cam Newton, he's yet another Heisman Trophy winner that's entering the Hall.
We also have our Georgia Elite Classic Showcase coming up on November 2nd at Blessed Trinity Catholic School from 11 to 1 p.m. Craig, I want to ask, what can people expect at this event?
Yeah, these showcases are very well run. You just come in, sign up, get your number. You'll be evaluated by Rusty Manziel, the other event staff that is running the showcase. Then you'll have an opportunity to earn a spot in the game, which is huge. And it's open for all classifications. It's open for flag football as well. So this is really exciting. I think this year's Georgia Elite Classic is going to be special for a lot of reasons. One, we got the second year with flag football, but 2, we are no longer doing the freshman versus sophomore game. It's going to be a freshman-only game and a sophomore-only game, so that opens up more opportunities for these younger kids to come out to the showcase and be able to participate in this game.
Now let's get into our fast break headlines. LaGrange football head coach Matt Napier has reached 50 wins as a head coach. We just want to congratulate him today. He has hit that 50 win with a road victory over Whitewater on October 3rd. He picked up 951 final week and now has an impressive 51-18 record since taking over in 2020. And under Napier's leadership, the Gators have led the playoffs 5 straight seasons. So, Craig, I want to ask, what has stood out to you about this LaGrange program under Napier's leadership? And moving towards playoffs, how can we expect them to do?
Yeah, well, they are definitely back. And this is a team that believes they can win the state championship. Their only loss this season was to rival Sandy Creek. It was a game that they made a couple mistakes. I think they got stopped on the 1-yard line. The game got away with them. They're confident, and what he's done has been incredible. When I used to cover the Class 4A blog, this was back in 2016 and 2017, LaGrange was probably the least successful team in that entire classification. In that 2017 season, they were 0-10. They only scored 44 points the entire season. Coach Napier has this offensive mind, and so he's gotten that side of the ball, really scored a ton of points up in that 400, 500 range, about 40 points per game. And then they just have more participation. He's built the youth program back, and he's brought that pride back to the program. LaGrange is second all-time in most victories behind Valdosta, and he has that excitement returned.
Moving on to our next headline, Walton softball upsets Harrison to advance to the second round of postseason. This is a really big win for them, and we're actually talking about how dominant this Harrison team has been. Walton was able to capitalize and get the win, and now they will be advancing in the playoffs. And Craig, when you look at this one, how much momentum does it give this Walton team moving forward in the playoffs with a win over Harrison?
I think it's a lot of momentum, and it puts their entire season into perspective. They played in a very tough area with North Cobb, North Paulding, and Cherokee. Actually finished about 4th in the standings. And so having some losses in the regular season against tough competition, but then beating a quality opponent like Harrison in the playoffs shows that they're battle tested, and it kind of just puts the entire journey in perspective.
Moving on to headline 3, Statesboro head coach Matt Dobson has been named the Falcons High School Coach of the Week, and his coaching philosophy is described as a holistic approach focusing on personal growth and team unity. Statesboro is now 3-2 this season and tied for second place in Regional Class 5A. Under his leadership, and in addition to his effort, Coach Dobson will receive a $1,000 grant for his program and recognition from the Falcons and the AJC. So, Craig, what does it mean to be recognized by the Falcons and the AJC for his leadership of the Statesboro program?
Yeah, so anytime this award's handed out, it talks about his holistic approach. That means caring about the player safety, the nutrition, the academics, the well-being of his players. That's something that has really stood out, and really the wins, that's important too. They're having success on the football field, but his philosophy in building good character with his program, with the team, reaching out to the youth, building the community. That's why he's been recognized, and a great week to do it as the Falcons had their big win over the Bills.
Moving on to headline 4, East Coweta softball continues to dominate this season with a first-round sweep of West Forsyth, and we know that playoffs are in full effect. East Coweta's run included wins over teams from Cherokee and Paulding County. Craig, what have you seen from this East Coweta team up to this point in the season?
Yeah, they know that they're going to have a target on their back, the defending state champs, and they came out in the playoffs playing very well. They've had that focus the entire time. It's going to be tough. You got teams like Buford on the horizon that they're going to want to get that payback against them. But I just think their ability to handle wearing that target on the back has been a key strength, and they're a team that has routinely been in the national rankings and at the top of the Georgia polls.
Looking at our last headline, Grayson Volleyball takes down Brookwood in 5 sets to advance to the second round. Craig, yesterday you actually broke down the volleyball bracket. How dominant can we expect Grayson to be through the playoffs?
I think Grayson has been on a huge upward trajectory the last few seasons. They've had not a lot of losses. They've been doing well in the region, but this is a big victory. This is one of the few 5-set victories we saw in any of the playoff games last night. And being able to beat a county rival like Brookwood, it was at home, is a huge accomplishment for them. Now, the next match is going to be a tough one. They're going to play Buford. It's going to be on the road, but Buford played Valdosta in the first round, and that one actually went to 4 sets. So they have some time to maybe adjust, come up with a good game plan. But this Grayson volleyball team is very talented.
And mentioning our game of the week again, that will be Langston Hughes versus Northgate. Today we're going to get the opportunity to hear from both of these head coaches. Craig, what are you looking forward to hearing from these coaches?
I want to gauge how Coach Whitley feels just from a physicality standpoint matching up against Hughes. I feel like Hughes is going to be the most physical team they've played so far, and just seeing how Hughes was able to come out against Douglas County earlier this season, win in the line of scrimmage, jump out to an early lead. Northgate's really going to have to come out and try to set the tone in the trenches and really play a grown man football game.
And what players are you most looking forward to seeing in this matchup?
I think Darnell Kelly. I think this is a big opportunity for him, just seeing he's a true pocket passer. This is his first year at Hughes. I just think that he's one of the top quarterbacks in the state. So I just think seeing him go out there, play good football, not turn the ball over, and he has an opportunity to show people what Hughes is all about.
And just to close things out, we also mentioned that we got to hear from Keith Brooking yesterday. He's being inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. And earlier this week, we heard from Mackle Harris, who was inducted in 2023. What were some of your biggest takeaways with what you heard from them?
Well, I was excited just to hear about Keith Brooking's recruitment, how he wasn't necessarily a big recruit, but he went up to that camp at Georgia Tech, stood out, got an offer day one, and then took advantage of his opportunities. So I think it was just him kind of relaying to the young students now just how important it is. Once you see that opportunity come your way, you got to seize it. And he certainly made the most of it, and just being able to play most of his career in the state of Georgia is very special.
We will be right back after this short break to hear from Andrico Hines, Langston Hughes football head coach. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches, because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing. So there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutoSpa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts, attend street festivals, and see Wings Over Northwest Georgia Air Show. Plus, you can enjoy a haunted tour or two and these upcoming events. weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at roamgeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. And just as a reminder, our game of the week is going to be Langston Hughes versus Northgate. Again, that's going to be this upcoming Friday night at 8 p.m. You can start tuning in here at 7:30 for our pregame show. We're going to have coverage all night of that game, and you can stick around after. We're going to be talking about some other big matchups in the state of Georgia. A lot to look forward to on this Friday night. But, guys, I just want to talk about the battle between these two teams. So, you look at them, they've both been dominant this season. They're both going into this game 7-0, undefeated in the region, which is already going to make this a huge region matchup. I want to look at this Langston Hughes team. Just break down what you've seen from them offensively and defensively this season.
Yeah, I think when you look at this Hughes team, they've made 3 state championship games in the past 4 years. When Coach Hines was the offensive coordinator of this team in 2022, this was the best offense the state has ever seen. They scored something like 60 points a game. Just one of those offenses that is an all-time great offense. I'm not sure we'll ever see an offense like that again that's able to make it all the way to a state championship and win it. When you look at this team, they're once again great offensively. They're very different offensively. They're much more of a run-based offense. Quantavius Wiggins and Carson Baker, 2 really good running backs. Wiggins right now, I believe, is an FIU committee. Just got an FSU offer, I believe, last week. And then Carson Baker's a Florida commit. Both really high-end running backs, both very different running backs. Wiggins is more of he's going to be able to take it the distance on any given rush, but he's not going to be Carson Baker, who is that guy that's giving you 4 or 5 yards no matter what per carry just because of how physical he is. And they very much bring that thunder and lightning kind of approach to this offense.
And so yesterday we had the opportunity to talk about both of their schedule. While Northgate is going into this game undefeated, you look at the toughness of this schedule. Langston Hughes has seen a tougher schedule than Northgate has. I want to ask, we deem this team to be battle-tested. What team did they see this season that battle-tested them?
Well, anytime you play a team like Westlake week 1, you got to come out focused. You got to match them physically. They handle business right there. Westlake struggled a little bit, but still a very talented team. But that road win against Douglas County, I feel like that was a big one. We've seen Douglas County already defeat North Gwinnett this season. This is a team that has state championship potential in Class 6A. It's a huge rivalry game for Hughes, so that was a big victory. I feel like that was the game that really showed us this Hughes team has a real chance in 5A.
Yeah, I think when I looked at it, the thing I was really impressed in that game was their defense. We knew that they were going to have a good offense going in. Darnell Kelly's a really good quarterback. We've already talked about the running backs. Xavier Tiller's a great tight end, wide receiver kind of guy. Just a lot of talent on this offensive side of the ball, but there were some questions defensively. And they go in there, and this is a Douglas County team that has all kinds of talent. Michael Johnson's an elite quarterback. Devin Carter's a great wide receiver. Aaron Gregory's a great wide receiver. They have talent all over the board. They were kind of able, for the majority of that game, to stymie that offense.
And then, guys, we mentioned this being a big region matchup, but as we move closer to the playoffs, what exactly does this win mean for this region moving forward?
Well, yeah, we were talking about how many remaining undefeated teams are left in Class 5A. They are right there. You have Lovejoy in this region too, correct? Yep. So Lovejoy's been very talented. I think both of them have to play Lovejoy still.
They both still do.
They both still do. So it's not going to determine everything, but the winner of this game is almost guaranteeing they're going to get a number 1 or number 2 seed.
And guys, what can we expect to see out of players like Carson Baker from Langston Hughes in this game?
I think as I was saying earlier, he brings that physicality that's really hard to replicate in high school football. He's a big 6'1", 200-plus pound running back, has really good speed, but is just so physical that through 4 quarters, he is going to give you bumps and bruises that by the end of the game, he's just continuing to churn, kind of like a Phil Moffitt that we saw at Grayson in 2020, where, yeah, he may not be going off for 10-yard runs in the first quarter, but by the time you get to that fourth quarter, the defense is so tired that they're giving up 10, 15, 20-yard runs just because of how talented and how physical he is.
And then real quick, Hayden, we've seen a lot of great running backs this season. What do you think maybe is different about Carson Baker, kind of who he reminds you of, just his style of running to expect?
It's comparing him to someone's kind of is hard. He's the only really big running back in this class. You look at a lot of the other guys, you look at Lamari Latimer, you look at Jonez Walton, you look at Will Rechecki, they're more so that 5'10", more traditional 200-pound running back. Carson Baker is this modern running back that we're kind of seeing where they've gotten bigger and bigger. Players like Kendall Milton that played at Georgia a few years ago. I hate comparing people to him, but Derrick Henry, these 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" running backs that are uber physical. They may not have the elite speed that some of these smaller running backs have, but they're so physical that, especially in high school, they're nearly impossible to stop.
And then Hayden, you talked about the success that this Langston Hughes program has seen over the past couple years. Just talk us through that and some of the success they've seen over the past couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean, under Coach Boone, their former head coach, this team was one of the premier teams in 5A. If you go above 2A, I believe it's them and Milton are the only two teams that have three state title appearances in the past 4 years. And being in a conversation with Milton, I mean, Milton won a public school national championship last year, one of the best teams in the state. And they were one of the few teams last year that were able to hang with that Milton team. Going into halftime, it was anyone's game. Milton made some adjustments, was able to win that game. But you look at the teams that have beaten them over the past few years. They lost to Rome a few years ago in the playoffs. However, they were really banged up. They won the 22 state title. They lost in a heartbreaker in 2021 to a really, really good Buford team. That was the end of that three-peat that they had. And you just look at this program as a whole as one of the few programs at the highest classifications to be able to consistently be there at the end of the season. This is a program that Coach Williams really built, because this is a modern school. This is not a school that was built in the 50s or 60s like a lot of these schools we see. He built this program from basically nothing when he showed up. And Coach Hines was part of that. He was the offensive coordinator, as I said earlier, of the early parts of this run. So Coach Hines is very familiar with his team's offense, with this team's culture. Darnell Kelly, their quarterback, spent his freshman season with this program and then transferred out to Peachtree Ridge and has now transferred back in. I think just the continuity of this team is really impressive.
And so you mentioned again, I want to touch on Darnell Kelly, the quarterback. He actually transferred from Peachtree Ridge, as you just mentioned, but what have you seen from him being able to engineer this offense this season?
Yeah.
So when you look at Darnell, he's just he's really talented. He's really raw as a quarterback, but I mean, he makes passes like this where it's just right where it has to be. There's no other place he can be. He makes mistakes, but just as a pure passer, he's an amazing player.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats this season, they've had 16 different guys catch passes this year. So they're doing a great job just sharing the ball, getting a ton of people involved. In terms of Coach Hines, when he was an offensive coordinator, this was a team that was actually perfectly balanced. I think at the end of the year, it was like 240 rushing yards per game, 240 passing. So they're a team that they can go out there, run the ball when they want to. They can be aggressive, but really just open up the playbook, and they take advantage of that speed. The offensive line play has been great, protecting Darnell, giving him the time, and he has the ability to get it out quickly.
You can tune in right back here on Friday night for coverage of that game. Again, Langston Hughes versus Northgate. We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Houston County football head coach Jeremy Edwards. Coach Edwards, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach Edwards, your team is having such a dominant season right now. You have a big region matchup this upcoming Friday against Coffee County. What are you capitalizing on in practice this week?
Well, we've had 2 good weeks of practice. Obviously, last week we had a bye week, and so we were able to kind of hash out some things that we needed to work on, specifically not turning the ball over like we did a couple weeks ago. But you know, we know we're going to have a physical game with Coffee. They bring a physical brand of football every week, and so you know, it's just been business as usual. Just trying to go 1-0.
So before your bye week, you faced Northside, defeated them 48-0, had a good shutout. How impressive have you been from your defense this season?
Oh, I've been extremely pleased with our defense. I mean, they've been playing with physicality with an edge. They're causing takeaways, which is good. Gets the ball back to the offense with short fields, and they've just been playing lights out. And the process and the preparation each week has been excellent. So been very pleased with that. It's definitely a positive for our football team.
And then, Coach, I want to ask you just about what you've seen from Ryan Maxwell this season, stepping in, filling some big shoes.
Yeah, obviously Ryan did have some big shoes to fill with A.J. Hill. He was a 4-year starter for us, but yeah, he's done an excellent job of playing within himself. Not trying to do too much to be so young. A young sophomore. You expect him to make sophomore mistakes, and he does at times, but he gets the ball to the playmakers, and he does what he needs to do to help us win the game. And very coachable, great kid.
Then, Coach, you guys are off to the 7-0 start, but you got 3 really tough region games ahead of you. From last year how tough these are going to be. What have you just seen from the team just looking at this start, being able to build off it, but really focusing on the road ahead?
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't have reminded me of that, Craig. It's tough 3 games. Obviously, we get 2 of those 3 at home, which is going to be, a big deal for us. Obviously, next week we'll make the travel down to Thomasville, but we just try to worry about us. To be quite honest, it's all about the Bears. It's all about getting better each day. I know that's kind of that's coach speak, per se, but that's what we try to do every single day. We just try to get a little bit better. In practice, we try to practice like we want to play, and bring it every day in practice with energy and enthusiasm and just try to play with an edge. And that's what we're all about. And, last year's rear view mirror type stuff, we don't think about it anymore. But we know we've got 3 very good opponents. But all we can worry about right now is confidence.
Coach, I wanted to ask about the senior leadership of this team. It feels like this team's really experienced and really just kind of knows what they are. And even though that they may not be as talented in some places as in years past, it feels like they are a better high school football team in some ways.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've got a great senior class that they were freshmen when we got here 4 years ago. So it's an extra special class, for me as a coach and my staff that came here with me. But they lead in a lot of ways. Some of the things that people don't see, I've got a handful of guys that are seniors that are getting together 2-3 times a week having Bible studies, just things like that. That I'm very proud of with these guys, the way that they play for each other. They got each other's back. And I think that's the making of a good team. And so despite, if something happens, not so good in the game, they got each other's back. They're picking each other up. And, I think that's a big deal with kids these days.
And, Coach, I want to ask about M.J. Mathis. He has 10 touchdowns this season. What have you seen from him this season?
Most underrated player in the state of Georgia. I don't understand, as far as some of the recruiting stuff goes. I don't try to understand it. I know that he makes plays. He caught 64 balls last year for 10+ touchdowns, and he's on an even better start this year. He's a great kid. He's very coachable. He's fast. He catches the ball better than anybody I've seen. He's lights out, and he's doing what he needs to do. He practices hard, and I think that's a big deal. But yeah, MJ is definitely a great player. One that we try to get the ball to, obviously.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier. Three competitive games coming up. You have 2 of those 3 games are home games. What is the atmosphere like in the stadium with Hines?
You were breaking up. I couldn't understand you.
You have 3 difficult games coming up. You have 2 of those 3 games are actually going to be home games. What's the atmosphere like in the stadium with Hines?
I think you asked me about the atmosphere at our games. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I was breaking up. Yeah, I think it's I think it's second to none. We're packing the stands. They're getting louder each year. Something that wasn't like that when we first got here. So more and more people are getting excited about what we're doing from our football program. And, again, the school's not that old, so you're starting to get some alumni coming back, getting involved. The band is loud. We do a bear walk to get into the stadium because the stadium's not at our school. So we drive across the street, and we try to make it as exciting as it can for these kids to give them a great experience.
Coach, I wanted to ask about this offensive line. I feel like that's one of those places that y'all have really grown in your tenure there. Players like Braylon Mills have just been playing really well this season. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, it starts with my offensive line coach. Coach Kelly Chastain does a great job. There's not a moment in practice where they're not working. They get no downtime. He's working them to death. But they're great kids. They're coachable. And, obviously Braylon is, he's larger than life. He's 6'7". He's hard to miss. But we've got some other guys that have really stepped up, that didn't have a lot of experience. And so they've figured it out as the weeks have gone on, but they've played solid. And obviously that's a big part of the success of our offense.
And Coach, real quick, talk about Con Anderson. He's having a huge senior year, just putting up some big numbers. What have you seen from him to be able to prepare to have this big impact?
Yeah, so he's going into the season, we have three backs that we feel really good about: Austin Stinson, CP, and Javian Durham. But Stinson went down on the first play against Brookwood, and CP has not look back since. There's not a game that goes by that he's not ripping off a 40-plus, 50-plus yard explosive run. Again, as far as the measurables and stuff, he's not the biggest kid, but you can't, his heart is, can't measure the kid's heart. And, he's not real big, but he's electric, he's fast, runs track, and, he's having a monster year, and he's hard to bring down. He runs extremely hard. And another guy that, I think has kind of been overlooked in regards to, colleges and things like that. But I've been super proud of him. He works harder than anybody I've seen.
Well, again, that was Houston County football head coach Jeremy Edwards. Coach Edwards, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. and Score Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And Score Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Score Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Score Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Cal Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Score Atlanta today.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Kevin Whitley, Northgate football head coach. Coach Whitley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
So, Coach, you're going into this
Can you hear me?
Langston. Yes, sir, we can. You're going into this Langston Hughes matchup undefeated, clearly a big region game. What's going to be key for your team going into this game?
I think the biggest key for us is going to be mindset. You know, going over there to the game expecting we have a chance to win. Nobody's really going to give us a chance to win, so we just got to go play our game and don't help them. They don't need any help from us, so we just got to play a complete game.
And I just want to ask about your coaching experience. So you transitioned from coaching at the college level to now being at the high school level. How do you implement this winning mentality within your program?
Well, I just think it's, pretty much very important that you just set standards that you're not going to compromise on. I think there has to be some non-negotiables in your program. And I think once the kids buy into those non-negotiables, I think the success follows. So it's just things that we don't are things that I think that apply to winning. For example, keep the locker room clean, flush the toilets, be on time, sit up in front of class. Those things don't have anything to do with football, but it goes a long way into creating habits that will allow you to win football games.
And Coach Whitley, you've been at a ton of great programs in the state of Georgia, but what attracted you to this Northgate position, and what have you just seen with the program's ability these last 2 years?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for myself, coming from Georgia Southern, I was at a point where I was looking for a job, and I just needed a program to check the boxes. And, it's not a far ride from my house, probably about and so I was able to ask him some questions and pick his brain on some things that he thought were good and bad about the program. So I almost had an inside look at what was here. In addition to that, I was able to recruit the school, so I kind of knew the level of talent that was here, and I felt like, in the long run, it'd be a situation that we could get turned around.
And then how's your team been able to handle just the success so far, knowing that you guys still have some tough matchups, but have you felt the excitement and the focus?
Yeah, I think I'm very happy for our players. I think they're the most important piece. When we got here, a number of kids decided that this is not what they wanted to do. So we did have a number of kids that left the program, and so I'm really excited about the kids that stayed. Again, they were able to buy into to the vision we had, and they've done a good job. So I think that they're very excited. I'm excited for our administration. Dr. Wilkes has been here a while, so I'm happy for her and our AD and all of our teachers and parents. So, those guys that bought in, I can be a little tough to work with at times because I'm not going to compromise on things that I don't think we can do without. And so, but they've adjusted to that, and they've allowed me to do my thing, and the kids have reacted to it.
Coach, I wanted to ask about the youth of this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. It feels like the majority of y'all's major players are juniors and sophomores. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think our top players are sophomores and juniors. We do have some really good seniors as well, but the majority of our guys are young guys that'll be back. And I think that the significance for that is that those sophomores, I'm the only coach they've had in high school, so they just know one way. We didn't have to change thoughts of how we were doing things with those guys because all they knew was what we were doing in terms of lifting weights, and demanding that they do things the right way. So that wasn't a hard sell for those guys. It was just some of the upperclassmen that, again, we had that, decided to leave. And then for the seniors that left, they've really, I'm proud of them as well because they had to adjust. And they, had several coaches during their time. So it was a matter of them just trying to believe in what we were saying. And they did that. And they've been tremendous leaders for us this year.
And I wanted to ask you about one of those seniors, Bryson Davies. Him and his brother have been at Northgate it feels like for a decade at this point, and always are great. Just talking about his senior leadership.
Yeah, I think Bryson definitely the heart of our defense. He's committed to Marshall. And just excited for what he's going to be the rest of this season, and even in college. He's a good player. He does things the right way. He's got a tremendous work ethic. He's a great student, great teammate. And so anytime you got guys like that, it makes your job easier. So I do rely on him a lot in terms of the leadership part of it, getting some stuff down to our younger kids. But he's been outstanding. His older brother is at UAB. Most people thought they were twins, but actually Braxton's a year older, so he's already at UAB playing college football. And so I was excited to inherit those guys, and they've been tremendous for us.
And Coach, I just want to ask about your quarterback, Ledger Clements. What leadership have you seen from him that he's brought to your offense this season?
Yeah, Ledger, again, is one of those guys that has all he knows is what we brought to the table. He's done so much to improve his game. Last year, he didn't run the ball very much, but he's a better runner this year. He's improved on the passing game, and as he can get better, we'll get better. His leadership has never been a question. He's always worked hard, we can count on him to be where he needs to be. And so, we're, going to keep riding and leaning on that leadership. And like I said, as long as he keeps getting better, which I know he will because he has a great work ethic, we'll be better here at Northgate. So we're excited about him and excited about the growth that he'll have the remainder of the year and over the next couple of years.
And clearly, physicality is huge in matchups like this. I want to ask, how has your team been able to utilize their time in the weight room this season?
Yeah, I think that was our biggest thing. The number one thing we needed to address was our weight room. Our guys have gotten stronger, and as you get stronger, you build up a little confidence. Langston Hughes is going to be a tremendous challenge. They're big, they're fast, they're strong. They got a lot of experience, got a great coaching staff. So we definitely going to have to, match their physicality. Again, being on the road, it'll be a hostile crowd. So hopefully we can, play to our strengths, which is use our quickness and just play tough football. And so the weight room has been a big key for us in that regard.
And then Coach Woody Shattini was a player that was able to get out there as a freshman last year. He's having a huge impact as a sophomore. What did you see from him last year, and how's he grown?
Really talented incoming ninth grade class. Last year during the spring game, we probably had 3 or 4 ninth graders start in our varsity scrimmage with only like 6 days of practice. So we knew they were going to be pretty good. It was just a matter of, carrying them along the right way and making sure that we didn't scare them off and actually throwing them in the fire too fast. But he is a great talent. He can run. He's very, very physical runner. He has great speed, and I think he's learning the position, so he's going to continue to get better. But we're very excited about his future. And like I said, he just has to keep growing. And want him to be more vocal. So that's going to be the area of growth for him. But other than that, he is a tremendous running back, a great teammate, works hard, and, looking for big things out of him.
Well, again, that was Northgate football head coach Kevin Whitley. Coach Whitley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it here in Northgate. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to take a look at Hayden's class of 2029 wide receivers to keep an eye out for. Hayden, I just want you to break down this list and tell me what you've seen from each of these players.
Okay, so the first player on this list is Gabe Janzak. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's in his first year at GAC, of course. He just transferred in all the way from Europe. Really interesting player. Not making a huge impact, 4 receptions, 22 yards this season, but there's so much potential. You go watch his film from when he was overseas. Just a really, really talented player. I think as we move forward, he's going to really grow into that position. I mean, this is his first season really playing at this level of football, and I'm just really excited to see how he grows.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting coming from overseas to Georgia high school football, playing in a tough competition. But yeah, his production, it hasn't been there. But what do you think just about his overall frame?
I mean, 6 foot, 170, one of those guys that's kind of your prototypical wide receiver / DB. It's going to be interesting. I think he's a wide receiver just from the film that I've seen, but he very well may translate to more of a DB role. But just a really talented guy. Then the second guy on this list, of course, is Walton's Jordan Peacock, brother of their quarterback Christian Peacock. I mean, so far this season, 42 receptions, 541 yards, 4 touchdowns on a premier 6A football team. One of those guys that's just, I mean, we heard from Wesley, one of our interns over the summer, about how good he was going to be. I was skeptical because normally freshmen don't play at 6A. I mean, that's production that you see out of senior wide receivers. Another guy that's 6 foot, 170 can play really Z, slot, maybe even some X at the next level. He's a guy. He may already have offers. If he doesn't, it's going to be this coming offseason that he's going to get offers, just like his brother Christian, just an elite athlete.
Yeah, and I think just out of all these guys, his production so far, over 540 yards at this point. For him to do this as a freshman, he might not be the highest rated guy out of this list, but I feel like he's going to put up massive career numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we look at this at high school wide receivers, and you have these guys that are college wide receivers that don't produce in high school. They're really talented, but they're not producing in high school. And then you have the guys that are going to be good college wide receivers, but because there's not the cornerback play and there's not the size at cornerback, these smaller wide receivers play a much bigger role in high school and can play all over the field where they can't really in college.
And then talk us through what you've seen from Dimitri Griffin at Pebblebrook.
So this is the opposite. This is a 6'3", 180-pound wide receiver. He's had 27 receptions, 448 yards, 3 touchdowns this season. I mean, he's just so explosive. He's going to be a true X wide receiver. He's one of those guys that a team that he's going under the radar because of the team he plays at. Pebblebrook isn't a particularly great program at this point. First-year head coach. They've lost a lot from this program. They're really rebuilding this program. But just, I mean, 6'3", 180, that's a guy that's going to be a true X wide receiver, which is not that common no matter what level of high school football you play. I'm really excited to see him continue to develop as a player, but his deep playability for someone his size is really impressive.
And then what have you seen from Jackson Patterson at Buford?
So this is the one player on this list that hasn't got almost any playing time this season. Now that is because it's Buford. It's one of the premier programs in the country. I think right now Buford is top 6 in the country, just behind Grayson in most rankings. This is a top 10 team. So he's not getting a lot of playing time, but you go look at his JV film, his 8th grade film. This is a guy that's 6'2", 185, has really good ball skills. Another guy similar to Janzak that may translate to more of a safety role. It's hard to tell at this point. He's playing both sides of the ball at the lower levels of football. But with his size, his speed, just this huge skill set that he has, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch develop, and he's going to be a major recruit, just like so many players at Buford are.
And let's take a look at this list one more time. I think we have one more player on the list. You have Austin Kitchings at Hebron Christian. What have you seen from him this season?
So we actually this is one of the players that we really got to see recently. He had a big catch against Blessed Trinity. That catch was the touchdown that end up being the game-sealing touchdown that kept them with the lead late in that game. Smaller wide receiver, 5'10", 170. But, I mean, as we've seen with so many of these Hebron wide receivers like Jarvis Matherin, they really thrive. That offense really thrives on these smaller wide receivers, these guys that are more of a slot guys, but at that 2A level are able to play at really all over the field. He's just another really explosive wide receiver for that team. I'm really excited to see him grow as the years go on, especially with the graduation of Jarvis Matherin after this season.
Well, speaking of great players, I just want to mention one more time we have our Georgia Elite Showcase coming up on November 2nd from 11 to 1 p.m. at Blessed Trinity Catholic School. Hayden, the Georgia Elite Classic Showcase allows players to come out and showcase their abilities, but what can we expect at the Georgia Elite Classic event in Rome?
I mean, this is that place this event that so many players get their first exposure on TV and get so much more exposure than I think any other all-star game, at least that I've been a part of. There is playing on TV, you get coached by good coaches, you're playing high-end talent all over the field. It's one of the few times of the year where we get to sit out and make evaluations on players against players that we know are good. One thing that it's always exciting to me is seeing the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders because these are the first time these kids are getting to play on any kind of stage whatsoever.
Thank you for tuning in with us today. We will be right back here tomorrow with more Georgia High School Sports Daily.
We saw some squirrels. We're trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.